Welcome to It's a Controls Problem, where we do precision guesswork based upon unreliable data given to us by those of questionable knowledge. I'm your host, Charles Johnson. My name is Charles. I am your host of It's a Controls Problem, and today we have two special guests. We have Keith Gipson with a P, and we have Danielle Radden with a D, just like Madden. And I am okay. You know what? Guess what? We're just going to forget about that part, and we're going to keep going. We'll get back to that. Oh man, this is terrible. These two are probably like, why the hell are we even on here right now? And Keith is like, I know, right? Anyway.
You know, Charles, if you had AI do it for you, it would probably get it right.
That's very true. That's very true. You were not wrong. We do have a funny AI story that we'll tell you about that after this. Matthew asked about whether or not people at Link Spring should listen to me, and you should hear the response. It was absolutely great. Anyway. All right, so we're here with Keith and Danielle, and they are with Facil.ai. And so I'm actually just going to kick it off to Keith. And Keith, what is Facil.ai?
Pleasure to be here. Facil.ai is a dynamic AI optimization platform that connects to existing building automation systems to provide better energy efficiency.
Okay, and Danielle, how did you get started with Facil.ai?
I think the short answer to this is I made a controversial post on LinkedIn, and Keith found me through this post and decided, you know what, that's the kind of person we need on my team.
Yeah, and it was funny because I actually had I was too fast, too much typing on my cell phone, and I think the post actually was about the relationship between artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I think I said something like, just in my haste, AI is a subset of machine learning. And Danielle posted, I don't know if she remembers this, but she posted on there. She goes, that's not right. And I go, oh, shoot, it isn't right. I look like an idiot, So I went back on there. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. My dyslexia is acting up again. So yes, AI is a subset. I'm doing it again. It's a superset of machine learning. In other words, machine learning is all machine learning is AI, and some AI is machine learning. So that's how we actually got together. She didn't flame on me too bad. The CEO of this, the great CEO of this Facil, of this artificial intelligence company.
Well, that's I think that's hilarious. I think some of the best relationships get forged like that, where you're like, who is this person? And then all of a sudden, like, did we just become best friends?
Yeah.
Like that's the
Love it.
No, I've had that happen too. Well, that's awesome. Well, again, thank you both for being here and taking time out of your busy schedules to talk with this. And so, Keith, let's do a flashback here. It's the inception moment of Facil.ai. And what was the aha moment, that blazing light bulb for Facil.ai?
So my background in another company I founded 17 years ago is called Phoenix Energy Technologies. And we were basically a call center for retailers. So, at the height when I left Phoenix in 2020 to start Facil, we had 16,000 buildings, mostly retailers and one supermarket chain. And yeah, we had a bunch. It was, I always called it rolling seed integration. We had like 40, 50 techs or whatever trying to take care of 16,000 buildings, hundreds of millions of square feet. And it was a challenge. So I built and architected this enterprise energy management platform to assist with that. And then we just started trying to move into, autonomous AI and trying to help with that, with the scalability. And it was pretty tough to get the, at that time was, I'll call it the proliferation of dashboards in the industry. So fault detection and all this stuff that really is capturing eyeballs. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. And yeah, I left in March of 2020, right before COVID, of course. So yeah, it was pretty tough. So that's that. But that was the point where I wanted to, kind of get rid of the rolling, the technicians rolling around in seats off of the different front ends of the dozen different building control companies that we had.
Huh. Wow, I didn't realize it. Admittedly, I've done a little research on Facil.ai, but I didn't realize that you started way back then. I think that's awesome. Especially when the world shut down, you were thinking of a ways to continue to keep it going. So,
Yeah.
no, I think that's really awesome. Well, so Danielle, what allured you to just AI in general, or learn or LLMs?
Well, first of all, uh, my background is in biochemistry. I have a master's in biochemistry. My original goal when I was young was I was going to study neuroscience. I was going to be a neuropsychologist. And then I got married and had kids and decided that I wanted to stay home with my babies. But all of that aside, AI is the technical application of neuropsychology. I mean, everything that AI does and how it learns and how we can apply it to life, it reflects so much on what I was studying in a human brain and how humans develop their intelligence. I was actually telling Keith earlier, I did a lot of research on the importance of play, so having fun and finding a playful attitude in life, and how playfulness is actually one of the best ways that humans can learn, because in play there's no real consequence. Everything is pretend, or it doesn't mean anything. There's no responsibility when you're playing. And so for adults that keep that playful attitude, they learn so much better throughout the rest of their life. And I was reflecting that it's interesting because AI training and how we train our large language models is very, very similar to how humans play, in that it does something, then there's no real outcome. We're just saying, is it right? Is it wrong? And then we improve and we adapt from that. So we're actually training our AI by letting it play with no real consequential outcomes. So that's what attracted me to AI, and that's still what attracts me to AI. And ultimately, what Keith is doing, I kind of fell into the smart building industry about 4 years ago, and it's a big puzzle and it needs this solution. So I'm stuck. This is where I am.
Well, good. I think it's these type, both you and Keith, it's the passion that you both have that I think is going to keep the drive going. And I think that's what keeps companies going and always pushing to the next level. So no, I think that's awesome. And I think you brought up some very good points about the playfulness, with adults as well. I think it's a really unique perspective. So, yeah, that's awesome. Keith, going with building automation, as we know that it can be, a bit of a maze. So, can you share a funny or unexpected, like, first day type story, like in the early phases of Facil.ai, like maybe a time when things didn't go quite as planned?
Yeah, and I'll do it in a little bit different way. This is not my first go around with AI. So I actually started something completely unrelated to building automation. I started the first predictive policing AI company called Shield Ops 20 years ago. So back in 2004. So I've been doing AI for 20 years. And I will, so I want to, but it is related to the way AI works. So our AI was actually featured on an episode of CSI Las Vegas. So it was the first time that real AI technology was featured on that show. And they even gave us like free private placement, like our name was there, Shield Ops Incorporated and stuff. And yeah, we were really, this was a crime prediction program. I mean, we were putting, bad guys and stuff and murderers and gangbangers in jail. So we trialed it at the Santa Ana Police Department. and we put like 500 criminals in jail in 1 year, or the AI did, and we were the most successful police department in the world, according to Interpol, because of the AI and 2 cops. So,
Wow, that's amazing. That really is an amazing story.
And it was 20 years ago too.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, he.
So what's funny about it though, that's where I learned about the relentless nature. So Danielle and I are on this kind of relentless nature kick of AI, this week. So she's going to have a great post. I think it's Thursday or Friday. But AI is relentless. It will drive to, it's like a Terminator or something like that. Like it's going to find you. It's going to, it will not stop. So we fed everything into this gigantic database. It was completely unstructured because we didn't know what relationships. AI is very fascinating in that it's able to explore and find relationships that human beings can't. So we fed everything in there, like the criminals, criminal history, favorite guns, babies, mamas, brothers, sisters, mother, and all that stuff. So I mean, it was just everything, tattoos that they had, what gang boundaries they favored, all that stuff. Everything we could find, we tied into the incident management system, or the 911 emergency, may I help you. So we just fed everything we could find, and we let it start. It started determining patterns. And one of the things we found out, and this is, I kind of think, where ethics kind of comes into the picture. um, this thing figured out that if it had the police officers stop a gangbanger like 2 weeks before their probation was up, that it could find something on them and get them back in jail. So this was very like unethical. Like it was actually, but because it did a correlation, I guess there was a probation date when it was going to end, and it was just another variable to the relentless AI. So it's like, hey, every time I get one of these human cops to stop one of these guys and talk to him, they find something on him. So mission accomplished. It's a hit. I get to put them back in jail. So to our horror, we discovered that this thing was railroading, and there was actually like some lawsuits and stuff like that. So you talk about mission critical stuff. So we actually had to, as the ethical humans that were creating this thing, we had to actually put in some safeguards to make sure. But that's what it determined. Like my job is to put up as many criminals in jail, and that's what I'm going to do.
Wow, that is such an amazing story. Like the fact that it was as relentless, it's kind of interesting. Like, no, no, we're gonna put him back in jail. Well, are we? Has he done it? I don't know. We're just gonna put him back in jail. You told me to, and
Yeah.
so that's
Don't
that's
find the
exactly what we're
reason.
gonna do.
Going to get something on them. And then you
Catch him
talk about.
jaywalking.
Yeah, yeah. You talk about because there was like stuff like do not affiliate, like DNA, the cops call it, but they can't even affiliate with friends, like their fellow gangbangers. So that's not a reason to put somebody back in jail, right? But yeah, technically and strictly speaking, yeah, if they're even caught within the same boundary. So yeah, this thing was just, and then it started predicting when a hit was going to take place. Like there's like an 87% chance that gang A is going to do a hit on the leader of gang B. And it was like a backward reverse spiral where the
Wow.
crimes would actually escalate. So yeah, it was the first predictive policing. And yeah, there's been a lot of controversy on predictive policing for the last 20 years. But yeah, I was the first one to create that.
Wow.
Wow,
And it's kind of
man.
funny that 20 years later, it was like, oh, let's try to optimize a central plant. And so I just took the CSI software, like literally, and turned it onto a central plant, and it started optimizing it. Like I kid you not.
And this
Oh
is
man,
why we
that's great.
keep arresting our plant managers.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
mean, yeah, like I was about to say, Tony Soprano should have been using this a long time ago, or else he wouldn't have
That's
gotten
right.
hit.
That's right.
Man,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
it was a blast. I got deputized, so I got to ride. I'm like a CEO. I want to get into the field literally. So I was in the cop cars, and they're kicking in doors and stuff. Stay here, Keith. Don't follow us. I'm like, I want it. So it was a blast.
And you guys have to know that Keith is like 110 pounds soaking wet. Like,
115.
oh, okay.
Oh, 115. I wish I were 115. Holy cow. Okay, I'm like two and a half of you. Whew. Okay, man.
This tiny little guy, like going on with the gang. They're gonna go round up the gangs. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's go.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what though? I could see him being such a go-getter that like even the cops told him to stay there, he wasn't staying put.
Oh
He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh
no.
no. He's like, I'm kicking that. He's trying to kick that door down. He like I could see him kick the door and he falls
Yeah.
back, and then the police bring the battering ram just to knock the rest of the door. Yeah.
Yeah. Hand me that mag light, and
I
well,
got
I
He's
this.
grew up
like,
I grew up in South Central, so don't let the package fool you. But
oh,
anyway,
oh wow, yeah, no, we will not like. Oh yeah, no. If you South Central, yeah, no, we don't want to be drinking juice in the hood either, and don't be a menace to it for sure. Um, okay, that was a bad joke, but I thought it was funny.
that's what the editing software is for, right?
That's right.
Yep, yeah. Hey, Matthew, AI will tell me when I'm not being funny at this point. So, um,
That's not coming out of the show.
well, that's fair. I don't we don't need to do it. Sometimes it happens live. Um, But back to kind of the building automation side of things. It definitely can be, um, building automation in AI. I think is still kind of relatively new. So, since you decided to just kind of put it in and see it really working, what is the most surprising or unexpected benefit that you've seen a client's experience so far with implementing Facil.ai?
Oh, the astonishing results. I mean, that's just hands down. Like reducing a central plant's energy usage by 50%. Like that's ridiculous in this industry. Like I never, like it surprised even I. Like we kind of marvel. There was a quote I put on LinkedIn where the creators kind of marvel at their own creations. Like that's us. Like I could not believe that this thing works so darn good.
Wow. I mean, I can't wait for this to start taking over more. I mean, I definitely want to see it for sure. I was talking to Danielle about hey, when can I start investing in this? Because I believe that Danielle, I believe that when you were at AHR, I think you were even trying to talk to some people about investing in it, right? I think so.
Um, yeah, great opportunity. So yeah, invest at Facil.ai. There you go.
Yeah, no, I definitely believe in the cause. So I think I definitely want to throw some money at it to help it. I definitely want to see what it can do. Um,
Yeah, a little bit about some of that. Facile is really about being a rebel. I mean, our whole thing is we're going to do things different, and we want to really break the status quo, excuse me. So part of the reason that Keith has said, I don't want to take VC money is because we have to do it different. If we're going to run an AI company, we've got to make sure that it's a product that's worth using. We should be able to run this through revenue only, and then also give back to the users. So that's why we're opening a crowdfunding round through a program called Start Engine, because rather than taking a bunch of venture capitalist money, using angel investors, we don't want to be dictated by trying to get more profitability. We want to be dictated by making the best solution for our clients. And we think that the way to do that is to have our clients invest in us. So that's kind of where we're trying to take a little bit of a different approach to everything, how we optimize chillers, how we go to market, how we invest.
Well, and that's a great point. But and the other thing to add on top of that, like I'm a 7-time founder, so I've had 7 startup companies in 35 years, and I get kicked out of every other one. It's by you take on the fact they call it founder side. So you come in, you get multi-millions of dollars. And when I see these folks, our competitors, and at any startup, when they're bragging about taking, $60 million and they can't be worth more than $10 million at that point, I'm like, oh, they're losing control. Like that just happens. That's the way it works in a startup company. And I just wasn't going to have that happen this time at Facil AI. So I mean, I'd rather, bootstrap and tighten our belt and just, grind through customer funded development and that sort of thing, then lose control of this company, because this is, it's going to be an awesome turnout. And I want to make sure I keep the train on the tracks.
Good. No, you do that. I do have a comment later about something that you just said recently that I will have a funny story about. Danielle, so building automation at times is often invisible to the average person. So do you think that AI can be a catalyst in disseminating BAS to a broader audience?
That's a really good question. I haven't really thought about that. I mean, obviously the answer is yes. You can use AI for any true mission that you have. I mean, you think about, I just found a website lately. It's not actually released yet, but it's called HeyGen. And you can make videos. Oh no, was it HeyGen? I don't remember. Goku or HeyGen or something. You can make videos from AI. You just upload a picture of yourself and you become the avatar. It makes your mouth move. It gives you really humanized facial features and it reads a script for you. So if we did want to make that our mission as kind of we'd need to get the wider public involved in building automation and understanding some of the operational problems and challenges in buildings. Yeah, I totally think that all we'd have to do is create an AI avatar and really disseminate the information as fast and as widespread as possible.
On
Okay.
TikTok.
So actually, then speaking of which, I think this is a great segue. So both of you, this question is for. How about we're talking about that scalability and integration. Those are huge challenges in the industry. So does Facil.ai address the legacy system problem and ensure that compatibility with diverse building infrastructures?
I guess I'll take this one. Yeah, absolutely. I always talk about the three-legged stool of success of an AI company in the controls industry or built environment. And it really is a three-legged stool of artificial intelligence competence. First of all, like you got to kind of know what you're doing there and, check that box. Doing CSI work, and doing DNA sampling at high rates of speed and computation. So, how hard could it be to optimize a chiller, right? And then you got to have the controls industry expertise. I've been doing controls since I was 23 years old, and I'm 63 years old last week. So it was last week I was 63. So I've been doing this for 40 years, my whole career. So, I've got a lot of friends and partners as well, and team members that have, experience as well. And then finally, it comes down to the system integration problem. And fortunately, I was able to come up as a master systems integrator. I mean, starting with even back in the 80s with Honeywell and Johnson Controls, I worked for Milwaukee. So I was a special systems integrator for JCI back in the mid 90s. So I think you tie all this stuff together, and that's that three-legged, stool of success.
Okay.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I'll also say that we talk about AI needs data, and yes, AI needs data. But if you really dig into the AI communities, they don't talk about data. They talk about input or even sensors. It senses. So if you think about how your brain is working, your eyes take in. I mean, they're taking in data. They're just taking in all of the vision that you see, and it doesn't come in pixels. It comes in photons. But your brain is taking in data with your eyes. It's the same with AI. We don't need to have the exact data from a system. We can use vision sensors. We can use graphical input. We can use auditory input. So there's this kind of hesitation, I think, in the built world that we think, oh, we have to have that direct integration. We can't use legacy systems. If you don't have a digital gauge, then we can't read the data. Yeah, we can. Just use your cell phone and take a picture. I mean, AI is so advanced that AI is going to solve its own problems, and data integration isn't going to be a problem.
Good. I'm actually really happy to hear that from both of you. I was hoping that was going to be the answer. But Keith, you said that you just turned 63.
Yes. Yeah, just
No, no, you
27.
didn't.
Yeah,
No, you
February.
didn't. No, no. I had to. I had to stop, but you obviously you can't see my face now, but I had this slack-jawed gaze, and I'm like, no. When I sent him a friend request earlier on LinkedIn, that was not a 63-year-old man, and so literally, I'm looking at the picture again. I'm like, no, I definitely don't see it. Not at all.
Well, thank
I'm
you.
63 too.
I mean, I feel 63, but I'm only 42, so I just turned 21 for the second time. So
All
I
right.
guess happy 21st birthday,
Yeah.
the third go around
Yeah. So
to
Happy
you.
birthday.
thank you. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
man,
Appreciate that. I sometimes I feel really good. Like last week, I actually went out and I was talking to someone. No, I think it was a customer demo, like yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. And the chief engineer was there. We were talking about it's my birthday, and he said, "Oh, how old are you?" And I said, and the guy that was Danny, our partner that was with me, he goes, "How old do you think this guy is?" And he inverted the numbers. He actually said, like 36. And I was like, flip them around and then you'll have it. And he's like, no, kind of thing. So I was like, thank you. Thank you. That's very, yeah, it's been a blessing to be able to
It's a
keep,
tragic curse.
yeah. But you got to keep moving, and you got to have, to Danielle's earlier point, like you got to have a lot of fun. I will not work and not have fun at the same time. And that's been throughout all my companies, even when I was a technician working for Honeywell and JCI. Like if you can't have fun doing stuff, I refuse to do like a mundane, like boring job that's just that I hate, and I hate my boss and stuff. So I just said, I'm just gonna make my own job. I'll just start companies, and I'll work for myself and create the environment that I like. And so, yeah, we have a lot of fun here. I keep moving. I'm always out in the field. I spend 85 to 90% of my time with customers out in the field.
having fun, because then it doesn't feel like a job, right?
Nope.
It's doing something that you love is so important. And I've said that in a few podcasts, but the people that we bring in, the people that we talk to, they all enjoy what they do. And that's what people need. That's what you need in order to take it to the next level. It's that, like, I've always said to myself, when I'm no longer having fun, that's when I'll retire.
Yeah.
Like when I'm no longer having fun, okay, then it's time for something new. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you enjoy what you do.
Yeah. And again, it's, I mean, like anything else, I truly believe that it's just hard work, like just putting in the work. So ever since I was like 6 or 7 years old, like I never go to bed before 12 midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning. And I never have. I've been subsisting on 6 hours of sleep ever since I was like 6 or 7. Like it's just not in my, I feel like there's not enough time in the day. And yeah, even if our competitors, if they even if they match our technology or our MSI capabilities, like they're not going to outwork us. Like we're going to outwork you.
Hmm. Oh, I let me tell you, I resonate with I sleep about 4 to 5 hours a night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always feel that there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
Um, I'm always trying to, and I'm just a trainer, but I'm always trying to come up with new material, new things to engage in people and help bridge gaps of knowledge.
Yeah.
And speaking of gaps, though, um, how do you feel about, or how do you think bridging the gap between the technical complexity of AI and the practical needs of building owners and operators in your marketing? Like, what language resonates best with your target audience?
Yeah. I think Danielle would be best to take that one because she's got a very, very unique perspective on that, and an excellent one.
So it all comes down to it has to be easy. I actually got into a little bit of an argument on a panel at AHR with Brian Turner, because he said that the thing that is holding us back from adopting AI into our technology is fear. And honestly, I think that's crap. Excuse me. I don't know if you can use that word, but
You could say worse. It's fine.
okay, good. But yes, fear is a thing, and I don't want to discount the fact that people are nervous. They don't know what AI can do. They don't know enough about it. There's not enough case studies, but fear is not what's holding us back. What's holding us back is it's too hard to implement. And I mean, it's like anything. If someone gave you a 50 years, someone hands you a credit card and they're like, okay, you're going to have to go into a store and you have to type in these numbers and then you have to type in this date and you have to do these numbers and you've got to enter in these codes and then 20 minutes later then you can do a transaction. They'd say, well, just pay with cash because it's easy. And yet now we don't think anything of going in and paying with our credit card. There's still a fear that your credit card numbers could be stolen, your identity could be hacked. There's still fear in that, and everybody experiences that. But the ease and convenience of using your credit card far outweighs any fear that we would have. And honestly, I don't even think about the fear unless I'm really thinking about it at 2 a.m. or whatever. And it's going to be the same thing with AI in building technologies. Yeah, fear exists. There's always going to be a question of, is this AI ethical? Do we have enough AI governance? Is the AI going to hallucinate or see things that we don't want? Is it going to make mistakes? That doesn't go away. But when it's easy enough to implement, then all of that doesn't matter anymore. And that's kind of why another reason why I enjoy Facil so much is Facil means easy in Spanish and French,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got to be easy. So everything we do, if Keith is working on a new product or a new gateway, we always have this conversation of, okay, Keith, but is it easy? Because I'm not going to take something to a facilities manager. I'm not going to take it to a plant manager and ask them to spend 3 months to set it up. I'm going to say, look, I have a solution for you. We'll do everything. It'll be ready tomorrow.
Well, yep, better. I second that, and it's just better living through automation. Like I hate
Mm-hmm.
to say that I'm, been lazy, but yeah, when I was at Honeywell as a technician 35 years ago, I was writing all kind of gateways into my customers' systems on my little, DOS laptop because I didn't want to go through with a pencil and paper and fill out all the voltages and all the reports on what panels were responding. So, I guess the story can be told now, but yeah, I was hooking up my laptop in the morning, taking off, and I'm at like Barney's Beanery, like shooting pool and stuff. Like that thing was working. It would fill out all my reports. And I actually got busted by my boss. He's like, Keith, you couldn't have done all this work. You just turned in like 47 hours worth of work, and it's only been 36 hours in this week. How's it? So they thought I was pencil whipping it, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm sorry. I've been cheating a little bit because I'm lazy. Like I don't want to do stuff. I want to automate everything. I hate doing repetitive, boring work. So it's better living through automation and now AI. I don't want to. Everything has to be automatic, easy, no
Yep.
no manual stuff. Like that's just not. I don't even want. Like I remember one time our VP of engineering, we were doing these graphics for our different company for our different customers, and one of our customers was Cal State LA, and I think he took like 5 minutes to like put the actual screenshot of Cal State LA on there. It was a nice touch, but I was like, no, no, no. We can't. But Keith, it only took 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't care. It can't take. That's not scalable. If the AI doesn't do it, it doesn't get done at this company.
I think those are really great points. Like some people think like AI in times is cheating, and what I've done with AI, at least on the building automation side, for now to kind of help see where it can go, is I actually took a bunch of Niagara API and I actually fed it into Chat GPT. And
Okay.
so I've been like, hey, I kind of am looking about this, and so like it'll start putting some stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but this actually does this. Oh, you're right, blah blah blah, and it starts, and it's been about 80% accurate, but if 80% of the work is done, and I'm only doing the additional 20,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Um, but I kind of think of it as, some people think it's cheating, but I don't think so because like think of a carpenter, right? Yes, carpenters learn how to build things with their hands and hand tools, but do power tools make them any lazier? No, I think it makes them more efficient because now they're using the technology that's in place to help become more productive, much like you
Yeah.
did even in the 80s with just a DOS laptop and and typing everything out.
Well,
Um,
and it's tools. I think there's a great backstory to this. A lot of times, what is it? Necessity is the mother of invention.
yep.
So at Phoenix, remember, we had 16,000 buildings. So each building had at least 3,000 points in it. You're talking about 48 million points
Yeah.
to deploy. So, I had my implementation team, and they were just doing all this grinding with Excel spreadsheets and trying to normalize the point names. I'm like, we can't do, even if we do five, even if we said, okay, well, it's 95 percent automated, that's still 2.4 million points that have to be
Mhm.
manually done by 40 people. So it had to be, we would go out of business if it was even 97% automated. It had to be 99 to 100% automated, or we go out of business. So I think that was the foundation of Facil, in that, yeah, you simply can't scale without it being like that. And then the other thing is my print driver analogy, which I think I'll overdo it. Like Danielle's heard about the print driver thing like so many
I
times.
use I use the print driver analogy now though.
Oh,
You've
okay. Yeah.
you've converted me.
Okay. Excellent. As long as it's not an apple, right?
Yeah, right.
No, but I seriously, in '95, I got I got a book, The Road Ahead by Bill Gates. And so Bill Gates, I read his autobiography, and Microsoft is a software company, like it's in their name. And so before 1995, um, Microsoft used to have to haul in all this hardware. So every time Epson or HP came out with a different model, the ET 4850 got changed to the 4875, and just like building control systems, like they changed the protocol on the printer, right? Because they added more features. And so it was up to Microsoft to do all that stuff. And Bill Gates was sitting under his tree, thinking this tree and on vacation. He's like, wait a minute, why are we doing all this stuff? We're a software company. We shouldn't be tearing apart hardware and reverse engineering it and trying to match up the specs for these drivers. We should make all the hardware people convert to us. So when he brought it to his engineering team, he said, we want to make a common architecture to interface to every printer out there. And of course there was objections. They're too dissimilar, and there's different. He's like, no, printers print. They run out of paper. They run out of ink. They jam up. I'm kind of running out of things that printers do. Like, okay, it's not a million things that differentiate printers. The point is that even if it was 20 different features, it's not undoable. So I got the same pushback in '97 when I started my first company, because it's like, Siemens is different than Johnson and Honeywell, and you just can't possibly keep up with all the changes. And I was like, well, let's find it out. So then let's find out and see how it would work. And then it turns out that no, there's not too many different features. Like, there's different baud rates and speeds and different protocols, but once you encapsulate those into your technology, you're done. And so that was my whole goal with my first company, was to turn building control systems into like printers and use print drivers for them.
Okay. I think I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down. I really like that. I really like that analogy. One thing I actually so I do some polls in training, and like one of the trivia questions I give is who invented Ethernet? Because we talk about when we're talking about BACnet and we talk about BACnet over Ethernet, I ask them like who invented Ethernet,
Bob
and like
Metcalf.
yeah, I've had some people like Al Gore, Steve Jobs. I'm like, well, Xerox actually did. They're like, Xerox makes printers and copiers. I was like, and they needed to be able to network their stuff ahead of time. So like, you hit the nail on the head. Like, people will create something, and like Bill and yeah, with Bill Gates, you know what? No, why are we? No, you're going to conform to us. That's
Yeah.
we're going to make you, yeah, like we're going to be the necessity. You're just good. You're just are going to be the follower.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, Danielle, so I loved the whole Facil obviously being easy. So if I'm a technician, or working, or maybe even the facility manager, or the end user, how does Facil.ai make it easier for me? What do I not have to think about?
Well, hopefully you're not trying to do what Facile does, period. Ultimately, we want the facilities team to focus on the mechanical repairs, dealing with the hands-on type things, and then let the automation babysit your system to make sure that it's working. And if you are working in your job and you're babysitting your system, um, yeah, hopefully that's not what you're doing. But but the whole idea is that you shouldn't even know that Facile is running. It should just be saving you money, and then you get a little bit less on your energy bill each month. And maybe you can get access to that. Maybe it's a couple $100. You can go buy a new valve. You can upgrade to something digital. Make your life easier that way. This is kind of the start of a flywheel. So if you think of what is your smart building roadmap, whatever you want to call it. Facile is kind of just that thing that it just gets the flywheel going. It's in the background. You don't know it's running. It's working on systems that quote unquote quote are already functioning, that they're not broken, but it's optimizing them so that you can save money. And then you start getting a little bit more in your budget and it starts loosening up a little bit. Then you can start getting more and more advanced technology. You can invest in some fault detection. Maybe you invest in a super fun new dashboard tool, whatever you want to do, analytics tool. I don't know. I don't know what would be on a roadmap, but yeah, it's very much in the background.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to ask about metrics, but really, I guess the metrics that's most important is saving money and efficiency, right?
Right. Yeah.
Efficiency
Yeah.
gain and increase output. So I give you examples, some mission critical customers like a data center or a hospital, they absolutely don't care about saving energy. Like they don't. That's just not it. So one customer example that I'll use is Apple. So in a prior life, we engaged with Apple and we came, because everybody wants to save energy, and they were like, we've got $100 billion of cash in the bank. Stop talking to us about saving energy. It's not moving it. What we want is perfect comfort. We want it to be 72 degrees in our stores all day long because we want people to hang out in our Apple store. So stop talking to me about saving energy because we don't care. We want people to be. So there's this additional level of precision that the AI brings. And that's the most important fundamental part, is this level of precision. So that's the thing about it. It's kind of like a fallacy that the AI is going to go far away from far away from your set points that your Nintendo 64 on the wall, I mean BAS controller is doing. Like there's no way it's going to do a worse job than an ancient piece of equipment that we manually programmed 30 years ago. Like how could it do a worse job? So there's this added additional benefit. It's almost like it can't do a worse job than what the building control system is doing, and that's not a slight on building control systems. It's just the level of technology. I mean, look at the phone. Look at a modern phone today versus even the most powerful computer 30 years ago. It's not even close.
You're right. You're definitely not wrong on that. I'm thinking some of the disappointing control systems I've worked with, uh, over the years, and I'm like, no, AI does a better job than that already. Like I already know. Like I don't even need to even like. I mean, I definitely want to see the demo, but at that point, I'm like, I don't even need to see them. I already know it's better than this, like half of this stuff right here. So. Yeah, no, I think that's really I think that's awesome. Here's a question I have. So, when, obviously when kind of going back a little bit with the, the fear of AI that we, that some, that people mentioned and, people are like, oh, well, it's going to take this and that. But, I see it as that there's going to be a change that people are going to have to adapt to it. So, um, since the industry is going to be facing that skills gap, at least for quite some time, you know, uh, is Facil.ai going to be able to contribute to empowering the next generation of building operators and engineers?
Yes.
Yeah.
uh, Honestly, what I would say is that it makes for great training. And so, I mean, you recently talked to Phil Zito, and he wants to teach new and relevant information so that we can start minimizing that skills gap. And Facil is easy to set up. We have a very transparent platform, so you can see why it's making its decisions. And because it's really kind of a in the background situation, you can't really mess it up. It's got very good guardrails. So as far as training goes, you could use that, but in a wider spectrum too, and not even just limiting us to our company. AI in general, you can build. It takes have a bit of a marketing background. It used to take me a week to write up a training document or guide, a technical guide, and then I'd have to take it to InDesign and I'd have to create a design and make it look good and make sure that it was usable and someone could follow along with it and pull in screenshots. I can do that in 30 minutes with AI. And so just even building training materials, uh, it's not a matter of incremental steps to growth. AI makes things transformative. I mean, this is 10 times, 100 times transformations. It's not making a car 10 miles an hour faster. It's turning a car into a spaceship.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think those are good. Those are great points. Yeah, some of the things that I had questions about, like, or people have questions about, like, large language models and stuff like that. A lot of people think that there's this, a lot of people think there's the stigma that they need to that they need to really be ahead of the curve when it comes to AI, where AI can really do a lot of that implementation on its own with just with just a little bit of nudging.
Yeah, I'd like to touch base real quickly on the different types of AI because I think there's a lot of confusion in the industry. We've kind of just lumped all the AI technologies and distinctiveness into one category, and I'd like to take just a moment to explain the difference between the different.
Please go ahead and do so.
Okay, so the first type of AI that we're used to and that everybody talks about is called generative AI. So that's what the G is in GPT, right? It's generative pre-trained AI. And so this is important. This training aspect is very important for a number of reasons. So that's the first type. That's generative AI. I'm going to generate an output. So I'm going to say, I'm going to type in cat, draw me a picture of a cat, and hopefully it's going to look at all the associations between cats in the off the internet for the last 20 years or whatever it did. And yeah, it's going to hopefully generate a cat. And then the next type of AI is called predictive AI. So that's good for weather forecast. Google TensorFlow is a good example of predictive AI. So those are two very different types from the type of AI that we're making. We're making what's called prescriptive AI. So we're solving a real-time control problem. Now, here's the huge difference between our AI technology and perhaps even some of our competitors, because they're actually using the terms generative and predictive and stuff. And so I don't want to make predictions on how to control the chiller. I don't want to generate a picture of a chiller. I want to control the chiller in real time. So the way most AI works is there has to be some training. We always talk about the training compute. And that means it's called ground truth labeling. And that means that AI doesn't, when you first turn on an AI system, predictive learning, it doesn't know what a cat or a dog looks like, for example. How does it learn that? Well, humans feed it images of cats and dogs, and they do this labeling process. So they just label like 100 or 1,000 or 10 million or however many pictures of dogs and cats, and then eventually the AI wires itself up to, when it sees the picture of the dog and cat, it recognizes the pattern and it matches it. So it's pattern matching. But where did the intelligence come from? It came from the human being first. AI would never figure out what a cat or a dog is unless the humans told it. Generative AI is exactly the same way. It's just on steroids. So you take everything off the internet for the last 10 or 20 years, and it's all human knowledge. It's the sum of human knowledge that went in on the internet. So here's a question. Where's the ground truth for running a chiller in the absolute most efficient manner? It doesn't exist. Where's that going to come from? So if humans knew how to run a central plant properly, we wouldn't even need the AI to run it. So how do you get past this dilemma? You let the AI learn on its own. And that's what distinguishes us from everybody else. We probably heard of a type of control called model predictive control.
Mm-hmm.
Model predictive control is only as good as a model. Other types of other competitors of ours, they call it digital twins. So I'm going to make the simulation, and I'm going to make a digital twin of the central plant. You might as well try to be modeling like a tornado, I always say. Everybody knows that you can't model a tornado. How do you learn about tornadoes? You send sensors into an actual tornado, and that's how you learn. And so our AI is actually learning on the piece of equipment in real time. This is inference computing, not training compute.
That is amazing. So I'm sitting here writing in a fury because there's a lot about AI that I don't know, and I'm learning quite a bit just even coming here. I mean, or just even listening here. So this is all been really this is all really exciting. I was telling Danielle that some of the things that I want to do with Niagara and an AI. I just purchased an NVIDIA server, and so I'm waiting for that to get here. And I'm gonna start pushing things to the limit to see what's available out there.
Okay. Yeah, you got to put the AI's got you got to turn the AI free to learn on its own on the actual equipment in real time. And there's kind of like this fear factor, like a lot of maybe not a lot, but some of our competitors, they actually use this fear as a kind of an advantage. Like, you don't want to do like what Facil's doing. Like they're learning, they're letting their AI, they're turning it loose on the actual chiller. No, we're going to set up this digital twin, and they show this 3D model of the chiller with the water going through it. And the customer actually believes that that's a real approximation of the chiller. It's not even close.
I oh boy, yeah, no, I'm not allowed to talk to those people anymore. When I approach their booth, they know, because yeah, I've been asked several times to keep on walking basically.
Escorted from the booth.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, that happened.
Oh no. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I believe what you said a little earlier. I think I know I'm definitely picking up what you're putting down, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Physics-based control, right? Physics-based control. What physics are you talking about? You're talking about the real physics in the real world, or you're talking about your little fake physics in the simulation?
well,
So
Keith got on this topic with someone earlier today, and I think that the guy was ready to propose. He was like, "You're speaking my love language."
yeah.
This is, I mean, we've had customers tell Keith that they love him. I
Yeah.
love you.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was they my company was like, "Hey Charles, can you when you come to AHR, I'm like, "Oh, you're allowing me to talk to people outside of the training environment?" They're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, wow, this is great because no one usually puts me in front of people for good reason." Um I was like, cool. I'm gonna get an AHR, and I'm gonna have and I have an exhibitor badge, and I have a visitor badge. So like when I'm on break, I'll go ahead and I keep a change of clothes. So then I am just XYZ. And so going and I heard real world physics, and I was like, so tell me, how does real world physics tell me that my coil is oversized? It would just use this roll over. I'm like, can you define that for me? Because like
Yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure. And yeah, they're like, we need you to leave. I was like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but now being a known entity, um, they know who I am now. They're like, oh no, no, don't even just
Uh,
just look away.
I
So
tell you,
Charles
I've been,
protocol.
yep, I've been blocked so many times from LinkedIn profiles and commenting. Like people just like, stop. Like I get private messages like, stop it. You're just blowing our whole thing. And it's like, no, I'm gonna. Like I feel like the little boy that said the emperor has no clothes. Like nobody wants to admit that, and we wear this, like Danielle mentioned, the rebellious nature. Like we wear this like a badge of honor. You know,
yeah,
you actually turn your AI loose on a multi-million dollar central plant. Yeah,
yeah.
we do.
Yeah, and it's
Why
way
wouldn't
more
you?
efficient than yours.
Yep, yep. Maybe you should do that too. Well, aren't you gonna? I mean, and a lot of I'm going down this path, but I mean, yeah, companies try to feign competence by impressing the customer up early with eye candy and all the nameplate data. What do you need to do? Oh, well, we got to do a thorough analysis. We got to be thorough. We got to be cautious. So I need all your nameplate data. I need 10 years worth of history. And then, how's your AI going to work? Well, it's going to go off in 100 years in the future and figure out and contemplate every possible decision. And it's going to go, that's called forward propagation. And then it's going to back up, and that's called backward propagation. And it's going to come all the way back to 5 minutes before the next 5 minutes and give you a result. And people are like, ooh, wow. But no, we're running our AI and it's going to learn how to run your machine 1,000 times better than any human could. And we're not going to break your central plant. We're not going to let your ice cream melt, grocers out there. Like it's ridiculous. So I mean, yeah, we're hanging out here. If our stuff doesn't, we're putting our money where our mouth is.
Yeah,
What's your
Right.
yeah,
KW per ton? That's all I want to know.
Not
I
like
yeah.
never get into technical debates about people about their training compute and how they're using this many GPUs. Like we will probably never, well, I know we won't. We won't get a $10 million investment from NVIDIA. And we don't need
No,
it.
no, no. You don't. Not at all.
Well, that's because
Yeah,
Charles is funding us.
yeah. There you go.
He
Well,
said it. They said it
I,
earlier. That's
I
that's what's
did. I
going.
did. I know. I'm definitely going to give some dollars. For sure. Because I believe in you for sure. Yeah. When I'll admit, when I first went over there, in 23, I think it was. Yeah, 23. Yeah, it was 23, and you know. One of them person came after me, and they were like, "Why are you over here?" I was like, well, you had my curiosity when you raised that amount of money. Like, I just kind of like wanted to know. And, when you see the boost pass out all the alcohol and have all these parties and stuff like that, like, like you'll see like Belimo, they have a customer appreciation. Yeah, because they've been around for 50 years.
Yeah.
Great. What customers do you have? Um, I still don't know. I still don't know. They've been there for several years already, but I don't see any results. I really don't.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not a good look. Like, do better.
Yeah.
Um, so one last question I have, and you've already started to touch it a little bit. But what, like, looking ahead, like what is the moonshot goal for Facil.ai? Like, where do you see the future of building automation heading, let's say in the next 10 years, and how Facil.ai will help facilitate that?
Yeah. I just think that finally, we're gonna finally have automated buildings, which means that hands off, no human intervention. I mean, imagine if you had an automatic sprinkler system or automatic control system for a nuclear plant, and you had to babysit it to make sure it doesn't explode or doesn't water your grass. So we're really, to sum it up, we're putting the automation back in automated buildings.
Or
Great.
putting it there when it
What?
didn't
Yeah, when
really
it doesn't
exist
even
in the
exist.
first place.
Yeah.
What other
Yeah.
automated system? What other automated system do you have to babysit manually with humans? Like, there's no other automated system. I wouldn't want to fly on a pilot on a 747 that the automated pilot had to be nursemaided by the human pilot. Like that would not be a good experience.
Right. If he had to get underneath something and open a panel and mess around with some stuff while you're flying.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to get an X-ray from an automated X-ray machine to adjust the dosage of rats. If it wasn't automated.
Yeah.
Like, oops, sorry about that. Well, I guess I didn't want children anyway. But I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
I was I forget where maybe I was flying to HQ, Matthew, but I fly a lot of Southwest, and for some reason in Charleston, and I think it's because they hate me, which it's probably the case. Like, I always have to be on the first flight out. Doesn't matter. Like, hey Charles, it's the first flight out. But it's 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning shouldn't even exist in my time right now. But this plane, I kid you not, they're like, the pilot's like, well, hey guys, so the gas gauges aren't the gas gauges aren't reading on the board, but we filled up the plane, so we're just going to take off, and we should have enough fuel to get there. I was like, I don't. That doesn't sound very confident of you.
Yeah.
Can we get a dipstick just to make sure? Can I get some other guarantee that I am not gonna die because we thought we had enough fuel? That'll be that'll be on everyone's headstone. They thought they had enough fuel.
We thought our buildings were automated, right?
Well, I will say, like, I think AI has a better chance of improving everything that you've said, because, like, you being in the industry for longer than I have, remember when BACnet first came out and integrations became really popular, what did they say? Oh, everything's just going to be two wires, right? Like, everything's going to be two wires, and there are going to be no other controls, and everyone's just going to have BACnet devices, and that's going to take whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. But I think AI has a really great shot. Like, even like with, Facil.ai, or even like companies like Mateo Viva, doing things like that. I think that you guys have a really, you have a good foundation, and I can't wait. I definitely want to see this for sure, because I'm super excited, and you guys made me excited to see this, without a doubt.
You. Can I answer the moonshot question again?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I missed the mark.
No, go ahead.
Go for it.
So the moonshot for Facil.ai, buildings have been wasting. They use 40% of all energy in the world, and they waste 30% of that, and it's been like that for 100 years, since the pit loop was invented back in 1920. So if my definition of success for Facil is that we can stop the 30% waste of commercial buildings in the world, and that would be huge, because for greenhouse gas emissions, I heard a statistic that if every commercial building were just 10% more efficient, it would solve the world's energy crisis. No more supply side, no more wind, no more solar. We would solve it just by a 10% efficiency gain with every commercial building. And so, yeah, it's significant. That's the moonshot for us.
So you
Okay.
guys making the difference without whether or not the end user cares about the energy savings.
Yes.
Right? So part of the
Yes.
goal for you guys here at this juncture is just convincing people to adapt, thought leadership to to get people to a more comfortable place with AI. And like it makes me think about the discussion you were having on LinkedIn a couple days ago with the guy who was sort of fear mongering about if we let AI be autonomous, it can never be autonomous, or else it's taking everything over and we're finished.
Danielle, you got to talk about your duct tape response.
Oh, I got on that guy's case. I said, why does it matter if we call it autonomous? It's not like anybody actually cares about what something is called. If they cared about what it was called, we would only be using duct tape for ducts, and obviously that's not happening.
Or duck or
ducks.
There are most people. Most people think it's duct tape, and I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
I have a wallet made out of duct tape. Man, if we cared about labels, we're in trouble.
I've never used duct tape for ducts before. Well,
Right.
I've taped a fender back on with duct tape.
I was gonna say,
all sorts of other things.
And zip ties, like that's it.
Yeah. Zip ties.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I remember one time being like in a control. I was in a 2-pipe system, Keith, and this was this salesman went to the land of misfits for this job. It was a special one, and so I remember. I remember some of the terminals on these controllers they had were so kind of out of, like, they weren't fitting. So I ended up having like to cut, like I was taking a pair of strippers and like cutting like half the terminals just to kind of like get them perfect in there. Yeah. Oh man. Whew. Yeah. In the South they call that redneck engineering. So
I call it a MacGyver move.
There you go.
I call it MacGyver.
Yeah.
That's more PC. That's fine. The MacGyver move.
Give me
a nicer way.
Yeah. Do anything with a paperclip. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish some people could. I wish. Oh man, I tell you what. So I really do thank you both for being here. I am out of questions. For you both, but I really do appreciate both of you coming on the show, and again taking time out of your busy schedules to talk to the lowly people of this podcast. So really, thank you both. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
that's
great.
Yeah.
Guys.
Remember to stay curious and say hello to Facil.
Hi, Facil. Hello, Shalonda. My father, Keith, just made me.